everyone. Welcome back to Third Shot Podcast. Again, we have another great episode in store for you. But before we get into it, please head on over to our Instagram and our Facebook at Third Shot Podcast and make sure you're following us. If you've got X, you could find us at Third Shot Pod. And you can also take a look at our website, thirdshotpodcast.com, where we have all of our previous episodes. We've got some great apparel if you'd like to purchase any, and some blog posts.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. Cheers, Uncle.
Cheers, Brigie. I am curious. You were at UNLV, right? You got your master's there. You work there, right? Was there anything that you did as a student that you felt maybe prepped you for actually having a career, and then especially having a career at UNLV?
That's a really good question because starting off as an undergrad, this was not my direction at all. In undergrad, I was pre-med, bio, and very heavy math science. And then as I got into those classes, I found myself thinking like, gosh, there's no way that I could be a doctor because like I stress about literally everything. So there wouldn't be like a very good work-life balance for myself. So then I had to start thinking like, all right, what is it that I like? Why did I want to be a doctor? And it was to, help people along with like their health and wellness.
Mhm.
And growing up, I always played sports and whatnot. And so my first job in college, I had worked before college, but while I was in college, I started officiating for intramurals in the recreation department because I had a sports background and I was like, I love being around sports. And that started shifting my mentality of like, what else could I do to help people and to be a part of like health and wellness still, but not be the one who needs to go home and worry about patients afterwards. So I had to get a little bit creative and find a niche for myself. But I love what I do working in recreation still. So it was a perfect fit.
Now, do you think that going through all of that undergrad work prepared you to actually get married to a doctor?
It's helped, I think. He doesn't have to dumb things down as far when he comes home to Tali.
Right? Like you predestined yourself to marry a doctor.
That's so funny. Yeah, there's times when he'll be talking. He's like, "Do you know what I'm saying?" Like, actually, yeah, I do kind of remember.
That's so perfect.
Yeah, it did work out really well. But when I was in my undergrad, I did participate in NERSA, which is kind of like this governing body. It stands for National Intramural Recreational Sports Association. So every university across the nation that's involved in rec sports kind of follows these like standards and is a part of this association. And in my involvement, I started doing like presentations at regional conferences, so presenting like the work that we're doing at UNLV to other institutions and kind of showing them our training program or just some of the assessment pieces that we do with our students. And so that was kind of like the turning point of like, okay, I can actually like make this a
A
career.
career,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that
Wow,
was
that's
pretty
cool.
exciting.
What year were you in at that point?
I think that I started exploring that more as a junior, like my third year into it, because I started working there when I was a freshman. It was like my second semester. And then I started getting more and more into it as I went. And like by junior year, I was like, okay, I can see myself doing this for my career after. So it was very exciting.
Because if I remember correctly, after you graduated and you're thinking about going for your master's, right?
Mhm.
UNLV approached you and says, "Hey, if you wanted to follow this path, we'll help you follow this path."
Yeah, so it was after graduation and I graduated in the fall and most people graduate in the spring because that's just how things go. But I was a little I took an extra semester and they were like, "Oh, we've got a graduate assistantship available if you want to apply for it." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." Yeah, so I got to
Yes.
go back and work there, and then things just aligned perfectly after, my graduate assistantship. There was a professional position that opened, and then again, they were like, "Oh, you should apply for it." So I've gotten very lucky with my timing, but maybe that's just like the universe's way of being reassuring that I chose the right path.
And you kinda, opened yourself up to that, right? It's not like you just laid back and it just fell in your lap. You had to kinda
True.
pursue it and talk to the right people and figure out what the opportunities were.
Yeah, yeah. And for
So
you,
mm,
in business, I know
yeah.
that's what you studied in school, and you've got like one of the best business mindsets that I've ever gotten
Aw,
to a chance to kind of pick over the years. So, was there a turning point for you, or did you already know like from the get-go?
no way. I had no clue. Like, I literally,
You're
when I was
winging
going
it?
through college, I had no idea. It was like, okay, honestly, it was just a feat for me to go to college. I was not, like, one of those good students through high school. I got good grades, but I didn't really enjoy school, right? And then I went to
Mhm.
college and I really blossomed in college. Like, that's where I like, "Okay, I'm finding myself. I'm figuring out who I am and stuff," and I became not necessarily a better student, but I learned more, right? I was learning and I was trying to figure it, I was getting it figured out. And I do remember that I was assigned this one assignment that I had to be um, persuasive as a public speaker.
Mm.
And up to that point, like the majority of the population, public speaking is not comfortable, right? And at that time, public speaking was not comfortable for me. So I did this speech or presentation on bringing the Raiders back to Oakland. At this time, the Raiders are still in Los Angeles. And oh, I'm dating myself. They were back in Los Angeles, and I said, I am the head of the boosters for the Oakland Raiders to bring them back to Oakland, and I did this whole presentation on why, people should get behind this movement. And at the end of it, I said, I need people to sign up to this petition, and this is going to go to this place, and it's going to go to the Raiders, and we're going. And you know what? I had everybody coming up to me afterwards, signing this petition. They were telling their friends about it. Their friends are signing the petition. It was totally made up, right?
That
There
is
was no.
they totally bought it.
Totally bought it, right? And I go, "You know what? I'm actually pretty good at this public speaking thing," and it gave me the confidence from that point forward to be very compelling, be very convincing in public speaking, and I felt more and more comfortable with that from that one presentation. And
That's
then
awesome.
look at me now, right?
I know
I'm
that
doing
was the birth
podcasts.
of salesman Uncle Greg, which turned
Yeah,
into entrepreneur Uncle Greg, and
yes.
now pickleball Uncle Greg.
That is what podcaster Uncle Greg. Yes,
Yes,
yes, and that was the one thing, bringing the Raiders back to Oakland, convincing speech.
and they did come back to Oakland, so you put that in the universe as
I
well.
This universe is crazy. All you gotta do is think it, say it,
Yeah,
and it happens.
manifestation at its finest.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting that college can have the impact on you and help you guide your life. I mean, a lot of people that I talk to, whatever they studied in college had nothing to do with their career. But a lot of people,
Right.
they figure it out because of what they studied, or maybe they didn't even realize it. It's more subconscious what they learned that helped them kind of, find their path in their careers afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of the special thing about college or even just like post high school era. As long as you're doing something and putting yourself out there, giving yourself new experiences, I think that's when you start kind of connecting the dots a little bit more about like what the heck you're doing with your life and the direction that you want to go in. But if you're just stagnant and you just kind of stay with the same routine as in high school, I don't think you see as much growth. I think putting yourself out there, you definitely get exposed to a lot more opportunities. Like you said, you don't know who you're going to meet or what class you're going to take that kind of puts you on a different direction. So,
Isn't it
yeah.
true that, like,
Cool.
the people you remember in high school, like, the studs, the people that are really popular in high school, and then you find out, like, 20 years later, "You're doing what? What happened to
Right.
you?" Right? And then the people
Yes.
that were so quiet, right, just studious or whatever, and then you find out what they're doing 20 years later and you go, "Oh my gosh, look how successful they are." You just never know, based on your personality and how outgoing you are in high school, what that's really gonna lead to. Now, sometimes the popular people stayed popular and became very successful as well, but a lot of times it
Mhm.
didn't work out that way. And I think college molds you in a different way, and it kinda throws you in a bigger pool where,
Mhm.
it's not as easy to, stand out like that.
Yeah, definitely. I remember being in like middle school and high school, and you think like that's your entire world. Like the people
Yes.
that you see every day, it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm not as popular as I want to be, or these people are saying X, Y, and Z about me. And I remember my mom telling me, like, just wait, like this is only like temporary. This is just the point of your life, and what really matters is afterward. And she could not have been more right. Look at us
Yep.
now.
You look at us podcasters. Who would
Yeah.
have thought? They didn't even know what podcasting was when we were in school.
Nope, wasn't a thing.
Wasn't a thing, wasn't a thing. Well, it's kinda interesting that we're talking about this because our guest today, Andreas, is a college student who started his own pickleball paddle company, and, I cannot wait to find out what it took for him to kinda follow this path and start the paddle company. So, as we bring Andreas on to Third Shot, this gives everybody an opportunity to go and follow us on all of our podcast platforms, let it be Apple or Spotify, you name it, we're on it. Go to our website, thirdshotpodcast.com. We got a lot of merch, we got articles, we got a whole bunch of stuff on the website as well. And please like us and subscribe on YouTube so you can see Andreas' good looking face and check out his paddles. So, on that note, let's bring on Andreas. Hey, Andreas, welcome to Third Shot Podcast.
Hi, thank you guys for having me.
We're super excited, and we can't wait for you to share your story with our listeners because it's quite unique. But before we get into those questions, we're going to do a quick little toast to Andreas and his paddle company, Alpha Omega. Cheers.
Cheers to Alpha Omega and Andreas. I love your mug there.
Thank you. I got a
Oh, heck
custom
yeah.
custom mug
Yeah.
for with water in it because I'm 19, so I can't legally drink. So it's got water in my mug. But
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that. You had let us know that you're the youngest person to own a paddle company. So, how did you get this started, and how long did it take you?
yeah, so my story really starts my end of junior year of high school. I started getting into pickleball. My sister got my family into it, started playing it a little bit, fell in love with pickleball. So much fun. I wanted to play all the time. And I was looking at paddles and I was like, geez, these paddles are super expensive. $200 for a pickleball paddle. And I'm 17-year-old kid in high school working at a retail store folding clothes. I didn't want to spend $200 on a paddle. So I was like, man, maybe I can make my own paddle or something like that. That would not be $200, but could perform very well still. So throughout that summer, going into my senior year of high school, I did a lot of research, some development, reached out to different manufacturers, got different prototypes in, started drawing my graphics. My art teacher helped me out drawing my graphics in class, came up with a name, logo, and all of that started really coming together, started getting good prototypes in. Thankfully, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, and there's a good pickleball community here, a lot of good players. So there's a lot of people to test out my paddles and give me good feedback on, oh, this prototype is missing this. It's really good in with this, and it could change this. And so I got lots of good feedback on my paddles in my local pickleball community, and I was able to use that to tweak my prototypes a little bit. Eventually, coming up with a final product of the first paddle that I would end up releasing December 10th of 2023, when I was just turned 18. 2 days after my 18th
Wow.
birthday, I released my
Wow.
first paddle,
Happy
which that
birthday. Wow.
paddle, What's
Yeah,
that?
right. That's a way to
Happy
celebrate.
birthday to you, right? When you gave
Yeah,
yourself the best birthday present ever.
it definitely was. And I brought some paddles to show.
Nice.
The first paddle I released was the Poseidon. So this is it right here. It's gone through some changes, about 4 different changes actually, with like the color of the handle, color of the sides, um, face shape, and a little core change too. Throughout the releases, I've released this paddle about 4 times now because it's
Wow.
very popular. It's sold out 4 times, so each time I've changed a little bit. The first couple times it wasn't even like USA Pickleball approved. I didn't even
Mm.
know what that was when I started out, but as my business grew, I started to learn, and so now it's all my paddles are USA Pickleball approved. I've go through even more prototypes, testing, research, R&D for all of my new paddles. So I have 3 paddles and then a training paddle that I currently sell on my website. So I mean, I sell all of my paddles at like a substantially lower price than other paddles on the market that are in similar like materials, because that was like my whole goal going back to why I started it. I wanted to make good yet affordable paddles for people who don't want to spend $200 on pickleball paddles.
Yeah, all your paddles are less than $140, which is amazing. I mean, even your
That's right.
high-end paddle is less than 140, and some of them are less than 120. Some of them are less
Yeah.
than 100. So, you're nailing the price point and making it very affordable for players, but you're not compromising with quality. That's the cool thing about your paddles is that Bridgie and I got a chance to try a couple out, and, we've tried I don't know, Bridgie, how many paddles have we tried now? Like 30, 40 different
Quite a
brands?
few, yes. From like the high end to, just, businesses just starting off. And this is a really good paddle.
Yeah,
Thank
like,
you.
we didn't find that this performed like, every paddle performs a little differently, right? So
Mhm.
every paddle has its own personality, it has its own feel, that type of thing. But overall, it's not like your paddles were like, "Oh, this feels like junk to us." No, your paddles felt like a really quality paddle when we took it
Thank
out
you.
for the very first time. I mean, Bridgie and I have played enough and know paddles well enough where we know a good paddle when we feel it and we play it really quickly. And I have to compliment you on the quality of your paddles. So, what went into the R&D to come up with these 3 different designs?
So the first paddle is made out of T700 carbon fiber, the Poseidon that I had just showed you. Um, and I basically just tested out different materials, different layers of materials, different shapes, different sizes, all kinds of different things. Having edge paddles, edgeless paddles. I tested all of that kind of stuff out with multiple prototypes coming in until I came up with a 3-layer T700 carbon fiber paddle with a polypropylene core and EVA foam in the perimeter of the paddle, elongated handle, and thermoformed. It's also 16 millimeters. So that's like the final construction of the Poseidon. And I just different, and then well after that started trying out different materials besides carbon fiber. That's where I came up with Kevlar. So has a top layer of Kevlar and 2 bottom layers of carbon fiber. It has slightly different shape, but same core. And then again, I decided to experiment more with different face materials. That's where I came up with the Cronus. This is the newest one, which is a titanium. Closely, you can see like the little zigzag lines, the
Yeah.
titanium carbon fiber
That's pretty.
weave face. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to send you guys one of these because I'm almost sold out. I have 10 of these left, but I'll be getting a restock in about 3 weeks. So it'll be back up on my website in 3 weeks. Um, so a lot of just the R&D has been different materials on the face of the paddle for the previous 3. But now I'm really working on like core stuff. So I'm experimenting with foam core, foam injected polypropylene cells, fully foam, partial foam, different way the foam is injected, all kinds of things like that. So the next paddle will be released is going to be some kind of a foam core type of paddle.
What's the
Gosh, so
advantage of foam core?
So the foam is providing more power to the paddles, like the Eula paddles, the True Foam, Gearbox. Um, I believe 11624 has foam paddles. Um, there's some more I can't remember off the top of my head, but they're all considered power paddles. There's really, with the foam being implemented into the cores of the paddles, it's kind of set a new standard for pickleball paddles and especially power paddles. So it's making the game faster paced, more powerful. A lot of those upper level players want that foam core to give them that more feedback, more power on their shots because it's getting a lot faster than pickleball used to be.
does the foam last very long, like compared to the polypropylene, or are they pretty comparable as far as like lifespan?
I mean, there has been some cases with other brands like foam paddles, with like I believe that they'll get like core the core crushing and delamination if they
Right.
have it with like I believe that's when the foam is injected in the polypropylene. It can kind of cause things like that, and with the thermoforming all combined. So I know that can be a problem for those kind of paddles. Um, but in reality, foam paddles haven't been around too terribly long. I know that over time they can heat up and creating more power to the paddle, which could then
Oh,
cause the paddle to be banned. I believe I'm not for sure on this, but I believe that's kind of what happened to Eula's paddles. They started out like fine, but then over time the core would heat up. I think it would compress or something. The foam would break down. I believe something of that sort that would cause the paddle to become more powerful. I think that's why the mod TA is going to be banned. I think because I believe it wasn't always banned, but now it's getting banned. Same with the gearbox paddle too. So there can be some problems, and I'm making sure that the paddle is not too powerful, so it does stay within legal limits of
mhm.
pickleball. But also, I don't want it to be underpowered, so it's not considered a power paddle. So there's like a fine line almost where I'm trying to hit.
That's
Nice.
tough.
Yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be really popular with the players because that's what everybody's looking for, right? I mean, most players are looking for how do I get more powerful, more speed, so it's a little more effortless to generate that top speed. One of the things I noticed with the paddle that you sent me, I'm using the Kevlar Ares, and it has tremendous spin. Like I am like I don't know if I've just been on it with your pal or what, but I have been, like, serving so well because I'm going for this really hard, high topspin serve that lands in, like, the last, couple feet of the court, and is just pushing people so far back, they can't get to the kitchen even if they can return, and a lot of times they're not returning. To be perfectly honest with you, Andreas, I've had so many people just not even return it because they don't think it's gonna come in. They don't think it's gonna drop in, but it drops in at the last second real hard, and they go, "Oh, it's in. Sorry, that's good." I'm like,
That's
"Yeah,
definitely
dude."
the best feeling when they think it's going out and they don't even hit it, and then it's got just that perfect top spin. So bam, just right in the corner.
Exactly.
That's
I'm
the
going,
best
"Don't
serve.
apologize to me, just give me the point. Let's go. Let's do it again." So it's not only spinning like crazy, but it's also giving me that touch that I can land it in the last couple feet of the court and not, be too worried about hitting it too far, too deep, too short, right? I'm able to control it, but still generate a lot of spin, a lot of power with it. So I'm having a blast with that battle.
I'm so glad to hear that. I'm glad you're liking that paddle. It's always nice when you get a paddle that feels good and plays good, and then you're starting to hit better shots, and you're like, oh, I'm really starting to love pickleball now.
Right. So I'm going to share a quick story too. So I got to try out this one here, the Poseidon that you were showing earlier. And for those of you who are listening, you can probably like hear how grippy that is. And I was super excited to try this out with one of my really good friends at work. So he's actually just starting to get into pickleball, and he goes out every Saturday now. So I convinced him to take our lunch break and play pickleball at work, which wasn't hard to do. So he brings his pickleball paddle, and I was like, I've got a new one to try out. And so I was playing with this, and I was so excited about the pop off of it. Like, it doesn't take much to generate the ball off of this paddle, and the control that I had with it. And my friend, he is just starting out. So he's got one of those like paddles that's more just like a plastic surface, like very
Oh yeah.
very smooth and sleek. And so sometimes when he would dink, the ball would come off and like shoot off in different directions. Like, he had a really hard time placing his shots. And so I said, okay, now that I've got to show off my paddle, like, I let him try it. And when he used this, he was like, oh, this is what I've been missing out on. He was making fun of his friend who went out and bought a carbon fiber paddle for spending, I think she spent like $160 on it. And he was like,
Wow.
that's ridiculous. I would never spend that much money on a paddle. But then when I was showing him this, he was very impressed with it. And he was like, I need to get a better paddle. Lesson learned. And he has much larger hands than I do. So what he appreciated about this paddle was the elongated handle, because it fit more comfortably on his hand, where before he was kind of like gripping the end of the paddle handle. So both of us love playing with it. And we also love the logo because it looks like a superhero logo.
Thank you. My art teacher helped me draw that logo. It's
Well,
supposed to be
well done.
it's supposed to be like the letter alpha and then the letter omega in the Greek alphabet, going off of like my heritage, because I'm Greek, and also some like religious Christian beliefs kind of ties in. So I kind of tied in two personal aspects of my life into like the name and the logo of my brand. So it's pretty cool because I got that personal aspect. And all the paddles are also named after like different Greek mythology characters. So kind of playing off my Greek heritage, because my dad was born and raised in Greece. So,
That's so
but
cool.
I'm
That
thank
is
you.
really cool. That is really cool. I'll tell you a funny story about the Alpha Omega. So like every time I'm using the paddle and I hit a power shot past somebody, they go, "Oh, Uncle Greg went Alpha." And then if I do a little touch shot or spin shot, they go, "Oh, Uncle Greg went Omega."
That's funny.
I haven't heard that one yet. I'm gonna start naming my shots that next time I go out and play.
Yep, name him the Uncle Greg. I'm just joking. But it was yeah, we've had a lot of fun. I've let other people try the paddle, and they're super impressed with it as well. So I'm curious. You're okay. So you're in your what year of college again? You're right now. You're
My
junior,
freshman year, second
freshman year of college.
semester, freshman year of college.
Okay. So now that you started the company, do you see this as being your career after college?
Yeah, I'd like, since I got an early start to it, I'd really like to kind of continue it. My next 4 years of college, I got time on my hands, thankfully. So I've been growing it. I go to the University of Nebraska, the Huskers, go Huskers.
Go Husker.
So the school has a great center for entrepreneurship, and they've been super helpful and supportive of my business, like sharing my business, giving me connections to people who can help me, all kinds of things, as well as the UNL pickleball club team, which I'm also a part of. So I definitely plan on growing it throughout college, hopefully getting it as big as I can for when I graduate, and then doing it full time out of college. Eventually, I would like to open my own pickleball facility, like a super cool indoor facility with my paddles in it, something like that. But that's many years out of college. But that would be a super cool goal and dream of mine to be able to open a facility like that. But I'll
And
definitely
that
be
would be,
doing. What was that?
oh, I was just saying that would be amazing. And it sounds like you are
Oh,
headed down the right path.
yeah, that's definitely my ultimate goal, is to do this full time out of college, and then eventually open a facility somewhere in United States, or maybe even in Greece. I'd love her to bring pickleball to Greece. So
That would be cool. Is
Yeah.
yeah,
pickleball popular in Greece right now?
not at all. It's my family. I asked my family in Greece if they've even heard of pickleball. They didn't even know what the word was. They'd never heard of it at all. But yeah, one of my main goals with starting this pickleball business, sorry, is to grow pickleball and make it affordable, good quality paddles for everybody, and grow it here in the US, but not just here, also in other countries. Like I'd love to bring it over to Greece and help grow pickleball in Greece and Europe. And I'd love to see it in the Olympics in some 8 years, I think it might be, which would be awesome.
I think they're targeting 2036, that Olympics.
2036.
I think that's what they're
Oh,
targeting for to have pickleball as an official sport in the Olympics.
That'll be that'll be awesome. Hopefully I can play for the Greek national team.
Yeah,
oh my gosh, that would be so cool. Yeah, you need to bring pickleball over to Greece immediately. Then they could start
Yeah.
developing their teams and everything.
Yeah, that would be awesome if I could do that. I usually go back pretty frequently to visit my family. My mom is from Omaha, Nebraska. That's where I'm also from. But my dad, his side of the family is all lives in Greece.
well, I think when you go back, somehow smuggle Bridgie and I into the luggage somehow, some way.
We'll all start
Right?
pickleball in Greece.
Yeah, well, Greece is definitely on my bucket list. I have to make it to Greece at some point in the near future. So, yeah, if you need any help promoting pickleball in Greece, just let me know. I'll help you out.
I'll bring you
Yeah,
guys
twist our
along. My next trip there, I'm gonna climb Mount Olympus, and I'm gonna bring my paddles onto the top of the mountain and like hold them in the air, because Mount Olympus in like the Greek mythology stories is where all the Greek gods lived. So all my paddles being named after different Greek mythology characters, I'll have them at the top of the mountain. So that's
That's
my next goal
cool.
for when I go back.
Very cool. I think that's going to be your that should be the name of your paddle store is Mount Olympus. That's where all the Greek gods live.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Or the
if I open
facility
a
could be called that.
Mount Olympus. That would be the perfect name for the store or facility.
That's
Yeah,
right.
we got you.
That would be perfect. When I open a facility in 6 years or something, 8 years when I'm out of college, I'll call it Mount Olympus.
That's right. You reach out to me. I'll help you with your marketing on that.
Perfect.
Well, we do want to also make sure that we leave time for you to share with our listeners where they can find you, and more importantly, where they can find your products as well. Kind of give them the spiel of what they can expect when they go to your website, and kind of what those price points are looking like.
Yeah, so if you look at my website, it's alphaomegapickleball.com. The Cronus paddle, this one is $139 on my website.
And the
The
Cronus one is
air,
the titanium paddle, just for everybody that's listening
yes,
and not watching.
the titanium paddle. The Cronus is the titanium paddle. The Ares, which is the Kevlar paddle, is 119. And then the Poseidon, which is the T700 carbon fiber. Oh, forgot to mention, they also all come with covers. If you can't see it, if you can't see the video, it's a logo with each paddle's colors associated on it, kind of to match the theme of the paddle. And the Poseidon is $99. And then the Cyclops training paddle is $35, all available on alphaomegapickleball.com. And then I also have an Instagram and Facebook, which is the same, Alpha Omega Pickleball on Instagram. I have a Facebook group. If you're local to Omaha, Nebraska, or Lincoln, Nebraska, I have paddles in a couple stores, local stores here, Aces and Dinks, Center Court, Racket Corner, and Play It Again Sports. They might have sold out, but they were there. And also at Midwest Pickleball Club. Those are local Omaha, Nebraska locations if anyone's from Nebraska.
And, I apologize, we didn't get a chance to talk a little bit about the Cyclops. So the Cyclops is a training paddle. Explain a little bit the concept behind the Cyclops.
Yeah, so the Cyclops is, if you like line it up to another paddle here, for people listening to it, lining up the bottom ends of the paddle, the face of the Cyclops matches perfectly to the sweet spot of your normal paddle. So it practices your hand-eye coordination, practices hitting the middle sweet spot, getting like that perfect shot. If you're hitting good shots with a small paddle like this, and then you switch to something like this, it's going to be a lot easier to hit all of the balls. So it's a great practicing tool, great utility. You can play games with it to practice, do drills with it, all kinds of things. There's a cool drilling video. One of the local pros in Omaha, Matt Barlow, he made a cool video on some drills you can do with this that you can check out on my Instagram page. So, and that's only $35 on my website.
So
Very
worth it.
cool. Yeah. Well, let's take this opportunity to do our third shot on Third Shot Podcast and celebrate everything that Andreas is doing with Alpha Omega Pickleball.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Congratulations on all your success and the
Thank you
future.
so much.
We really, really appreciate all your time coming on. And I think your story is amazing to start this while you're in high school, your junior year of high school, and
Very
Yeah.
impressive.
conceptualizing this. I mean, most people are thinking about what am I going to wear to the prom, right? You're starting a business, so congratulations to you. And it sounds like the future is going to hold a lot of great things for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the support, and I appreciate you guys coming on or letting me come on your podcast and trying out my paddles. I appreciate all of it. Thank you so much for helping me out and really getting my name, my brand out there. I love all the support I can get. It was a lot of fun on your guys' podcast.
Yay,
That's
glad
cool.
you had fun. And thank you again for the paddles. They are truly amazing.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad you guys like the paddles.
Yeah. Uncle Greg with the alpha shots and the omega shots. So beware if you see me walking on with the Ares. For everybody that's listening and watching, thank you for joining us on Third Shot, where Brigie and I will continue to share our pickleball journey. A real special thanks to Andreas at Alpha Omega Pickleball. He's got amazing paddles. He's all, we didn't even talk about it. He's got some gear as well. Check out his website, alphaomegapickleball.com. Check him out on Instagram. Just look up Alpha Omega Pickleball. You're going to find him in all different places. He's got some really cool posts and fantastic product. And you can support this show by subscribing, and we promise to have more amazing guests just like Andreas for future episodes of Third Shot. So let's continue to share our enjoyment for the game and grow this pickleball community together. See you next time on Third Shot Podcast.